Okay, I'm probably not going to record a separate intro for this, so I think I'm going to take a minute to let people know how we know each other, and then we can get into Project Pride. And yeah, I'm excited to ask you a couple questions about that. But yeah, you and I met in Bishop, California, I think in 2013, like 2012, 13, that winter. I was just thinking about this. And I
Hmm.
think that's when it was. I was on a longer trip there, living in my Subaru. I was there for like 6 weeks. I don't even remember how we connected. Maybe it was through Micah, mutual friend.
Yeah, yeah, there was a big gang.
Yeah.
Do you remember playing soccer on our on a day off in
Oh,
the fields in Bishop? Like that big park?
yeah. That rings a bell, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely 2013. I think it was December 2013 because I it was the same I believe it was the same year that I moved to Squamish. I moved to Squamish in May 2014.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Maybe that was after I'd lived in Bend for a little bit, and that was a shorter trip. That makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit more over the years, just like stumbling into one another, I think in Leavenworth, maybe Smith, at just a couple other places, talking on Instagram and things. But yeah, you
Actually,
reached out.
I stayed at your place. Do you
What's
remember
that?
that? I stayed at your place. You let me crash at your place. On
Right.
it.
Okay, I do remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, in Bend. I
Right.
remember yeah, I was my climbing partner got sick and she knew you as well. And we ended up just crashing at your place because she was feeling super sick and we couldn't make the drive back to Squamish. So you saved us. You're a hero.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so happy that I did that for you. It's like a
Yeah,
very
thank
blurry memory in my past, but I can remember that actually. I remember what house I was living at, and I remember you guys coming and staying.
you.
That's so funny. But yeah, you reached out about a week ago to tell me about Project Pride and this event that you're planning in Squamish, and to see if we could do this. And I thought it was really cool, and I'm excited to hear more about it. And I'll just open up the floor to you. I'd love to hear. Maybe we can just share what Project Pride is briefly, and then we can talk about it all more in detail. But you want to give me just a brief overview of what it is?
For sure. Project Pride is going to be a 1 day bouldering event extravaganza. Um, the whole goal is to kind of have a day where people who identify as queer can connect, get out in the boulders, attend workshops. There are going to be like a ton of different workshops now. Kind of everything keeps popping up. Local friends are just, you know, throwing themselves at me in terms of like wanting to volunteer and wanting to help out. So there's going to be a lot of different types of workshops. So it's for all levels, and it'll be a day long event with an after party. But yeah, it's just a chance for people to kind of connect, create community in that space, and enjoy the amazing boulders in Squamish.
In Squamish, yeah, okay. When is it? Do you have a date yet?
Yeah, so it'll be September 17th with the 18th as a rain date.
Okay, got it. That's a
I'm
very
ready.
smart plan.
Yeah. I'm basically
Brilliant.
ready as well to potentially tarp some areas
Oh,
of
wow.
interest in case. Yeah,
That'd
I've
be
got some
so
on board.
epic.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that idea. That might change the bouldering game in Squamish if it is a success.
Oh, it's some people do it already.
I bet. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the goal is for, people who maybe are newer to climbing and are queer and identify on the 2SLGBTQ plus spectrum, and maybe they've never climbed outside. I just want to make it super welcoming, and they can come out, and there are going to be workshops for, super beginners as well.
Mm,
So
that's so cool.
yeah.
Um, does it cost money, and are tickets available now? How do people do? Are you
Mhm.
hoping that people sign up ahead of time? How does that side of it work?
Yeah. So I'm capping the event at 50 attendees, and we have 18 or 19 tickets left.
Okay.
So people can sign up for the event. I can send you the Eventbrite link. I don't know if you need, yeah, we can
Yeah,
add that.
I will add it to the Yes, I will put it right there in people's podcast app. So if you're listening to this, scroll down. There's going to be a link right there.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and we really just originally I just kind of wanted to promote locally first. Then I reached out to the Vancouver gyms. I've noticed a little bit of an increase in attendee registration since the Vancouver, especially the bigger Vancouver gyms, have posted on their social media. And yeah, so we've been getting lots of, just really good promotion, I guess.
That's
natural
awesome.
promotion.
Good.
Yeah.
How much does the event cost?
Oh yeah, so it's $80 for the day.
Canadian.
So that includes, $80 Canadian. So Americans, you get a really good discount. $80 is not very good. But yeah, essentially the $80 gets you a really awesome swag bag. Each person that attends will get like a sweet swag bag. Lots of bouldering goodies in the swag bag. You get food for the entire day. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. You get to attend all the workshops and the after party.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm excited to hear more about you and to share a little bit of your story with people listening, so they feel connected to you and the event. Why did this feel important to you to put together?
When I started climbing, first off, when I started climbing, I just thought climbing was stupid.
Really?
I was really into it. Yeah. For the first little bit, it took me like a year to actually get really psyched on it. And then, because nowadays I see people who are like, I've been climbing for a couple months and I'm so keen. And I'm like, I used to just think my hands and feet were just going to fall off because like climbing was so painful. But outside of that, I started climbing on the east coast of Canada. And first off, there weren't very many climbers, but there certainly weren't very many like queer climbers. So I actually started to embrace the climbing community a lot. Like it was a lot of, not outcasts, but, definitely more misfit type people. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the climbing community, but it also meant that I didn't really have much of a queer community because I spent most of my time on weekends or evenings on climbing trips, like the more and more I got into climbing. So I didn't really have a queer community. And then after it actually took me like a few years into climbing before I met, another queer climber. And that was like a huge eye opener. I was like, wow, I've been climbing for 4 or 5 years. And this is the first time I meet like a gay boulderer. And it wasn't something I needed in my life, but it just added a little bit to the experience. Like I would, the way he and I used to just chat about our experiences, especially because I met him on a trip to Joe's Valley. And I was like, oh, he's like a legit boulderer and he's a gay dude. Like we had such interesting conversations and it really opened my eyes to, oh, wow, like it would be so nice to have these two communities, merge with each other, but I didn't really think it was possible, especially since I was living in such a small town. Like Squamish only has a population of 22,000. And I'd say like maybe once or twice a year I go into the city at most.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I think, that kind of got the wheels turning in my head maybe about a year ago. I met through a mutual friend, I met the president of Pride Squamish, and he's also a climber, Kyle. He's my counterpart, my male counterpart. And we were just chatting one night. I don't know what we were doing. We were just chatting about different things and like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if there was a bouldering event in Squamish for gay climbers? And he was like, well, you have to make it happen.
Nice.
He kind of like forced it upon me. But originally we wanted to try to get it going last year, but with all the COVID restrictions, it's just way too impossible. So, yeah. So this year, around April or May, I just started thinking about it a little bit more and just, I guess, pulled the trigger. And yeah, it's been overwhelming ever since in terms of like in a positive way.
That's awesome.
People are just like super supportive, and yeah, the community has like been awesome. The Squamish community.
Very cool. And I have another question for you. This is actually from an email that you sent me. We've just been talking about why it feels important to you and why this how this event came about for you. Why does it feel important to share this with others in the community? Like, what have you seen or observed or heard from others in conversations with other queer climbers?
Yeah. So the queer climbers that currently live in Squamish that I do know who were like, yeah, this is awesome. I already knew that they would think that it was awesome, but I also, it was a bit of a gamble. I wasn't sure if it's something that people would respond to, but since I started promoting it on social media and kind of putting the word out there throughout the community, I've actually had some local climbers approach me on Instagram or social media and, tell me that they are so happy that this event is happening because they're actually not out.
Mm,
So it's, you know, I think it is something that's needed, maybe more than people assume. It's funny because I was chatting with my friend earlier today when we were going up Sky Pilot about the event and whether or not it's good to have these events in the sense that it kind of, not that it polarizes the different groups of people, but it's, it kind of sets aside a space for a certain group. So I don't know, there's this like continuous dialogue in my head whether or not that's beneficial, because at some point I think that marginalized populations and everyone should just spend time together and it's really so beneficial to spend time with someone that's not at all like you. Um, but I think there's a lot of value in providing a space of comfort. And
totally. Yeah.
that's what I'm hopefully that's what I'm trying to create. So yeah, it meant a lot to me. Like, even today I was telling my friend again, like if one person can feel comfortable with having this type of event or attending this type of event or knowing that this type of event even exists, then I feel like that's a success. But even now that like a few people have kind of come out to me, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it is still needed. It's not, everyone has a separate story, I guess, is the thing to realize. Most of my friends are straight and I'm super okay with that. I think it adds a bit to my life to have a couple more queer people, especially locally, since Squamish is just growing. But yeah, I think everyone is different and everyone will have different needs and find meaning in different situations.
Totally. Yeah. And I think we like to think that climbing is progressive and open and welcoming to all, but we still have things to work on as a climbing community, and it still could be a lot more open and welcoming than it currently is. And even if it is open and welcoming, there's so much, like you said, to just being able to have conversations with people that you can relate to and not be the only one at the
Yeah.
boulders who's having your own experience. So yeah, I love it. That's so cool.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, the other thing too is I think I know my comfort level when it comes to like coming out to other climbers. So say I like show up to the boulders and there's a big group of climbers, you know, coming out is not really something that you just do like on a daily basis to whoever you meet, but it can naturally kind of come up in conversation. And I have to say that I don't always feel comfortable coming out. It just kind of depends on the group that I'm climbing with. Yeah. I mean, driving through the US recently for my sky race. It was super interesting to listen. I actually really enjoy listening to the talk radio in the
Okay.
US. And I was listening to, I know and not even necessarily NPR, but I like seek out those really like right wing channels because I like to listen to the rationale behind certain things. And, um, you
That's
know,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it helps a lot when you can just listen to other people's perspectives. And I think that's how you gain insight into, different types of cultures and different values. And
Hmm.
I mean, the US is not a completely foreign country to Canada, but Northern Idaho was a wild ride,
I
and
bet. Yeah.
it was a wild ride. And I stopped for dinner with a friend of mine and I was trying to talk to him about Project Pride. And then I kind of stopped myself. I was like, I am in Idaho. I can't really talk about this like overtly.
Hmm.
So, and yeah, I guess that's the thing. You never really know someone else's background when you encounter them in the boulders. So it just sucks to feel super uncomfortable, especially in a space that you enjoy and that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, do you have anything else you want to share about the event? What it's gonna be like? Any of the
Um,
presentations or talks or anything like that?
yeah. I mean, I think first off, I definitely want to thank a lot of the, not only community, but we're going to be getting lots of support, financial and, you know, prizing support, for example, from, some big companies. But definitely the initial support from the community was super, I don't know, I was kind of shocked. I guess I didn't know what to expect, but, ground up climbing, climb on Squamish, counterpart coffee, flashed climbing, Arcteryx, they're all on board and Pride Month is over.
Hmm.
It's not just a Pride Month thing. It's, I think people want to make that concerted effort into changing the culture and making things more welcoming and inclusive. So yeah, I first would want to say thanks to everyone that's supported this event for sure. Um, and definitely thanks to, any of my friends who helped kind of push the idea through and made me actually like, you know, go through with it. But I think it's going to be, my hope is that this is just going to be like a really awesome event for people to attend. I hope that people will, get a chance to create community, but it'll also be a great chance to, to connect in the boulders and just share experiences, share dialogue. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how it turns out. What else? There will actually be a mini comp. So there's going to be like a 1 hour scramble mini comp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a certain section of the forest, and the comp winner is the person who can get the most amount of V points. So that'll be pretty fun to watch, I think. It'd be awesome to see people do like just laps on certain classics or,
Yeah.
But I can't tell you which area I have in mind, but
Okay.
yeah, there are
Fair
a
enough.
couple areas for the mini comp. Um, yeah, and any questions, people can follow us on Instagram. It's at project.pride.squamish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is it for climber wise? Any level?
Yeah, any level.
Okay. Perfect.
Any level. Yep. And yeah, that's about it. I don't know what else I could say about it. It's just going to be a day event, but in beautiful Squamish.
Yeah.
In September, no less.
In September, no less. Yeah. Squamish will be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And I think we will have, some really cool workshops to attend. There's going to be a climbing prevention workshop, done by my friend who's a world-renowned climbing physiotherapist, Nina Tappan.
Climbing injury prevention?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And that's one thing that I can share. I'm trying to keep some things a surprise.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it sounds awesome. And you've thanked a lot of people, but thank you. I mean, you said you were forced into it, but you weren't really. I mean, you didn't have to say yes, and you didn't have to actually do anything and make it happen. So thank you for making it happen. It's so cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like to say that Kyle forced me into it just because it's Kyle. And if anyone who knows Kyle is listening to this podcast, they know exactly what I'm talking about. He's he's currently in Europe right now. And I definitely miss him. He's a funny guy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, I will link to your Instagram page that you just mentioned. I'll link to the link where people can get tickets. Do you have a link where people can just learn more about the event in general, I'm assuming?
Ooh,
maybe that's the same as the ticket page. I'll link to all the things. I'll put all the links right there in your podcast app if you're listening to this. And I'll throw in the article that you were just featured in. You were just featured along with Project Pride in Gripped magazine. I'll put a link to that as well for people that want to learn more.
For sure. And thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
I totally appreciate you being keen to do this. And like I said, I'm just blown away by all the support and all the amazing people that are just like, psyched about it.
Yeah, you're doing something cool. It's easy to get psyched for you. So I hope you sell out the rest of those tickets.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty certain I will.
All right.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Now, any Americans that are coming up, feel free to bring Trader Joe's.
Snacks and condiments, please.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely the dried mango. It's one of my favorites.
Perfect. All right.
All right.
Appreciate you. Have a good night.
Right. Thanks. You too, Stephen.
Bye.
Bye.